Keynote. I am so excited to have Kat Crawford with us here today. She is the Executive Director of Digital Innovation for the Schlechty Center in Waco, Texas. She's a Google certified innovator. She's a darn fine human, one of the most phenomenal, fun podcast guests I've ever had. She and Kayla were on the podcast, the Keep Indiana Learning homegrown podcast that dropped today, this morning. Check it out, talking about digital citizenship, because this is the Fall into DigCit Week live stream from the Indiana Learning Partnership, which is comprised of the Indiana DOE, Keep Indiana Learning, and the Indiana Learning Lab. And the three of us are really thrilled to have Kat with us today. And Kat told me that now she is an empty nester. And so for Halloween, they're trying to decide whether or not they turn off all the lights and pretend they're not home, or jump out of every bush and scare the bejesus out of the kids, because there's no one there to be embarrassed and mortified for them. Kat, you'll have to follow up with us and let us know which one you pick.
Absolutely.
All right, I'm going to hand it over to you. I can't wait to see a little bit of Ted Lasso coming in.
Well, thank you. Welcome to Finding Inspiration, everyone. As was mentioned, howdy, I'm Kat Crawford from Waco, Texas. You can find me on all platforms as @DramaticCat. That will definitely come in handy when we're scaring kids. I have been working in education for 20 years, 10 years in the classroom, and the past 10 years working all across the country, training teachers and helping schools with systems design and technology integration. I'm the Executive Director of Digital Innovation for the Schlechty Center, and I'm also a Google certified trainer, innovator, and common sense ambassador. I want to take you back to a day in my life where everything changed. March 13th, 2020. I assume that's probably the same for a lot of people. My girls had just come home for spring break, and 10 different schools called and emailed on that actual day to cancel the work I was going to be doing with them for the next month. Uncertainty was filling every part of my life. As a family, we decided to gather around the TV to process what was going on. And so we decided we'd start with Contagion. That turned out to be just a little too realistic and instilled some intense fears in our teens. Oops. So we backed that up by spending the next few weeks baking bread, making bagels, and it wasn't until June 20th that we started to binge watch Tiger King. We were a little late to this viral sensation, but it did nothing to address the mental issues that we were still inundated with. It turns out that we were going to have to wait until August 14th, 2020 to find the inspiration we were pining for. Ted Lasso. No show has ever drawn the gamut of emotional responses I get from just one episode of Ted Lasso. And this fall, as we face yet another unforgiving year of education, I think we should listen to Ted Lasso, and his life lessons, as I call them. He embodies everything we need to find the courage, inspiration, and perseverance to navigate this digital world. Taking on a challenge is a lot like riding a horse. If you're comfortable while you're doing it, you're probably doing it wrong. Ted Lasso might sound corny at first listen, but his messages hit deeper the longer you let them sink in. This quote is how I feel about technology. It is evolving at an exponential rate. If at any time you feel comfortable with the way you're using it, you're probably already behind. And I know you're like, wait, that doesn't sound inspirational, but hear me out. If we embrace that we are always going to be lifelong learners of technology, we will approach technology with a growth mindset. A growth mindset, like that time you impulsively pulled up a song on YouTube to play for your class without listening to it first. And even though it said Kids Bop version, it still had the swear words. I never did that again. Growth mindset. Ted has so many great quotes that will help us find inspiration for Digital Citizenship Week. Let's dive into his top 5 Ted lessons. Danny Rojas says, football is life. And to that, I say to you, technology is life. It is time for us to focus on the positive ways technology has improved our lives and help students see that we aren't just digital detectives looking for digital offenses. Tell them how parents who couldn't make conferences can now join Zooms, or students who are ELL can watch captions in their native language during a presentation, and kids who find it hard to talk to you in person have more opportunities to communicate asynchronously. When the pandemic hit, I was supporting teachers across the United States working in juvenile justice facilities. Students who were locked up at the time were confined to their cells. Schools were canceled. And worst of all, family visits were postponed. My colleague, Christina Campbell, had this incredible idea that merged snail mail with email and called it Care Mail. We would ask volunteers all across the world to write handwritten letters to our students. The letters would get scanned into our email, and we would read them and send them to teachers to print out, drop off at the facility, and be distributed to the students. This was the most powerful way technology kept students ages 10 to 18 connected when they were in extreme isolation. Students had the option to write back to the volunteers, and here is one of the most powerful lines I read. It's nice to see that there's someone out there who really cares enough to take the time to write to me. I've been taking your advice of planting seeds with my own thoughts. Every chance I get, I plant seeds. You know what the happiest animal in the world is? It's a goldfish. It's got a 10-second memory. Be a goldfish. Students need to make mistakes to learn. We can help them navigate this space without judgment. We can create a safe space that welcomes all students to share their experiences. Be ready to accept your students with a refreshed memory every time. My biggest hurdle in the classroom and as a parent has always been music. There are so many things I wish I could unhear or forget, like the goldfish. New songs go viral daily. Plus, I just couldn't keep up with all the lingo I needed to know in order to make sure that the messages in the songs my students and children listened to were appropriate. The internet had an answer to all of my problems. Genius. This web tool reminded me of those books that I bought in college that translated Shakespearean text into layman's terms. I could type in the name of any song and scroll over highlighted sections of lyrics to translate the text from teenager to midlife mom, complete with citations. I have never felt so old or out of touch. There isn't much that shocks me now, but I am thankful to have my goldfish memory when it comes to popular culture. When Ted is asked to reflect on his mediocre football team, he says, "For me, success is not about the wins and losses. It's about helping these young fellas be the best versions of themselves on and off the field." You may be the only person in these students' lives who models digital citizenship. They will be looking at you to set the standard. Be the person who helps them find their best digital self. The impact you will make in their digital world could change their lives forever. In 2015, I helped a juvenile justice school launch Chromebooks in Wyoming. A few months after they had the computers up and running, I got a call from the technology teacher. He had noticed that two students from different units were collaborating on a document together. The title of the document, wait for it, The Escape Plan. The girls were detailing up an escape plan back and forth for an hour until one of them started having second thoughts. She returned to the document and rewrote the entire conversation to make it look like she was talking to her friend and explaining to her, don't run away, don't escape, it's bad news. What's bad for this student, though, was she didn't know anything about revision history in Google Docs. Dun, dun, dun. When confronted, she exclaimed, "Well, next time I'm just going to use paper because you can burn it, eat it, and flush it." After that incident, she made positive choices with technology and actually went on to finish an online college degree in the program. We are so proud that in that moment, the response wasn't to remove her from her technology, but instead to help her see how it could be a positive tool in her life and help her repair her behaviors. Ted says, "If that's a joke, I love it. If not, I can't wait to unpack that with you." It can be hard to decipher messages on a screen. I love how Ted doesn't assume he knows what the intention is behind the comment he's reacting to. When we are curious about what our students are posting, as opposed to jumping to conclusions, we open the door to them to talk about it, unpacking it with us. My daughters were in elementary and middle school as Instagram was iterating daily and Snapchat was just blossoming. It was a rough few years. Every day they were recreating themselves by changing their Instagram name. My youngest daughter's screen names were very strange. One day I get a text from my husband wondering if I had seen her latest screen name. I quickly switched over to Instagram and was horrified. She was only in 5th grade at the time, but her screen name was just awful, like so awful I can't even say it right now. I tried to pass the time before her bus dropped her off, staying calm, but I was just ready to attack the moment she walked in the door. I made the after-school snack and pretended to be casual. "Oh, I saw you updated your screen name today." She immediately excitedly said, "Yeah, isn't it great?" Now I'm literally shaking. How can she be so happy? This is just wrong and so inappropriate. I tried to put on my teacher hat for the next few questions. "Oh, like what does your screen name mean?" She shrugs her shoulders. "I don't know, it just sounds cool." Teacher hat again. What would you say if I told you it was really inappropriate?" She got silent. I could see on her face that there was no intent behind the name. She honestly didn't know what it meant, and I certainly wasn't going to tell her. Now that she's in high school, she will tell you that this is the most embarrassing thing she's ever done. Sometimes you just have to unpack it. Ted says, "I believe in hope. I believe in believe." I think this school year so far has been exhausting. Bus shortages, food delivery issues, monthly TikTok challenges that aim to degrade and disrespect schools, property, and teachers. Even in the face of all that this year throws at us, I'm going to choose to believe, and I hope you will join me. I promise that optimism is contagious. Across America, teachers are putting Ted's Believe sign up in their classroom, to which Ted responded on Twitter, "I think teachers are like great albums. Everyone can think of at least one that's changed their life." In 2018, I got an email from the Google for Education team. In this email, they announced that a new Google for Education partner, Soundtrap EDU, was being launched. I was thinking about how impactful music can be in our juvenile justice spaces, and I immediately fired off an email to the info account requesting that our unique population would need 60,000 free accounts right away. To my surprise, they wrote back, and the most amazing partnership developed. That fall, I wrote the curriculum Unsung, The Voices of Youth Justice. In our first year, we overcame a ton of technical challenges to making this tool accessible in our secure schools. We launched it in October and asked students to write protest songs about policy issues that impact their incarceration, zero tolerance policy, school to prison pipeline, and so many more. The winning song was from 7 young men in Oregon who were all facing adult charges and wanted the world to hear how mandatory minimum sentences were drastically impacting their lives. Let's tune in and listen.
Hello, you have a collect call from Rogue Valley Correctional Facility. To accept these charges, please press 1.
got something to tell you. I know I messed up, but I promise I'm gonna change. So let everyone know that we the voices of youth justice, and we refuse to go unheard.
Department of Corrections at the age of 16. I was tried as an adult, I wasn't even 18. Just another young boy chasing a dream. Now I'm nothing but a young kid, forced to do a grown bid. Mom's crying in the court, this feeling makes me so sick. I made some changes, but I doubt they'll ever notice. Judge, give me a chance. I'm just tired of feeling hopeless. I'm a labeled man, and I'll be forever living every single day, wondering when it gets better. Mandatory minimums, no second chances given. They say they locking up monsters, but they just condemning children. Seems the judge and the jury don't understand how we live it. Yeah, we made some mistakes, but we got hearts and mixed feelings, and we all want to change. We just need some direction. I sing these words from these pages in hopes that you get the message. To the people of America, we just ask for your blessing.
I've been locked up since a young one. Got me in these cuts and ain't been over. Mama said she miss her baby, that it make my nose run. They don't want me to speak, want me to be undone.
Technology has the power to make those moonshot ideas come to life. Believe. How can you use these TED lessons this year? First, believe. Optimism is contagious, and let that be the only thing that goes viral this year. Second, let's focus on making the best versions of our students. Commit to growing each student's digital citizenship. And lastly, technology is life. It is here to stay. Let's embrace it. Look for the ways your students use positive digital behaviors and then appreciate the heck out of them. Ted says to his star footballer, I think that you might be so sure that you're 1 in a million that sometimes you forget that out there you're just 1 in 11. And I know that you are all experts in your field of teaching. I hope you will join me in staying connected and building a team that can work to inspire, share, and grow as digital citizens together. Join me in sharing your hashtag TED Lessons on Twitter and tell us how you're finding inspiration for Digital Citizenship Week in 2021. Thank you so much.
Wow, Kat, I just loved what you were sharing there. I could have listened to the entire song and probably more of those unsung submissions. That was really powerful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we can include it in the description too if people want to finish listening to the song, for sure.
That's right. And I want to just throw out there, if you go to keepindianalearning.org right now and click on our on-demand events, you are going to see some amazing additional ways that you can engage with Kat and Kayla. They have created 3 on-demands. We've got some blogs going out there, and the podcast that we talked about dropped today right here on Keep Indiana Learning on our homegrown podcast. This was a fun conversation, really, for me to just sit back and enjoy, because these 2 ladies share so much about what they've learned about education, especially juvenile justice centers, but it really applies to all of our learners as they're figuring out their own way. And it's so hard out there right now to know the path you're taking if you don't have a guide to show you.
Absolutely. I'm so excited that we're able to share all of the kind of tricks and tips that we've mastered doing this for the past 10 years.
And I'm thrilled that you're sharing it with us here through the InLearning Partnership and as Keep Indiana Learning. You're getting a lot of love out there on social media. It's great. Round of applause. Lots of exclamation points means that was a loud round of applause. And your Ted Lasso lessons are so great. Thank you so much, Kat. Thanks to everyone for joining us today on our Keep Indiana Learning hosted InLearning Partnership Digital Citizenship Live Summit. All of these sessions will be recorded and archived on our YouTube channel and our Twitter. So follow us at KeepInLearning, hashtag InLearningPartner. And we will see you all for our next live stream next month. Thanks again, Kat.
Thanks. I appreciate being here. Take care.
Bye.